This is LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we explore the ins and outs of conscious creation to manifest our favorite dreams come true. Let's have some fun together. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another episode. I'm loving that I have apparently worked with enough British clients to know what it is to feel chuffed. I was just noticing how good I felt, and when I was asking myself, why do you feel so good? And then I remembered why. I was like, yeah, I'm chuffed. I think I know what it is to be chuffed. Isn't it a fun word? Oh, thank you, British clients. Okay. Ooh, in fact, so this isn't what I was going to talk about today, but the reason I was feeling so good was a fun manifestation, although it did not start out fun. It started out, as so many fabulous things do, in contrast, so my local shelter, they are overfull of animals, and so when they get a tricky one to place, that one makes it to the top of the euthanized list, but they try to get that animal some help before it gets euthanized. So every once in a while, you'll see a post from them saying, hey, this is a dog's story. Usually it's got a bite history. That's why it's a tricky placement. They want a rescue group who will work with the dog and make sure it gets placed in a situation where it can do well. And they don't, because they're so full, they don't have a lot of time for that to happen. And the rescue groups are full too. So sometimes it feels tricky. Okay, at least that's the reality that I'm in, where it seems like I'll see them post saying something like, this dog and this story, for this reason, we need rescue and we need it fast. They'll have like a couple days, by this date or this time, it's going to be euthanized. And no, I don't like that. I was going to say no one likes that. I personally, that's not my joy to see. And so I'll keep an eye on those just to make sure that something good happens for that dog. And it usually does. But every once in a while, the clock is ticking, and we're getting right up to the, last couple hours that this animal has for someone to be willing to do something with it. And sometimes when it's feeling sketchy, I notice myself thinking, oh, what can I do? What can I do here? And my mind starts engaging things like just going into action. But I'm really proud of myself when I remember that just jumping into action with the vibration of resistance, the vibration of fear that, this is not going to go well. Abraham tells us, unhappy journeys don't have happy endings. So I love it when I recognize that the thing for me to do is not jump into some sort of action. The thing for me to do, where my superpower is, practice the desired outcome. Practice what you want to see happen. So I'll do that. I'll imagine, I've done this a handful of times now, which is why, so the most recent one, she didn't have a lot of time and no one with no interest, no one even pretending to try to find a foster. Just nothing seemed to be happening for her. And as I was getting more and more nervous, I recognized that feeling of nervousness is not helpful. So I practiced feeling the relief, the joy, the delight in knowing that a rescue group picked up this dog, she's in good hands, and she's got a happily ever after in front of her. So I practiced feeling that way. I practiced seeing the post saying, update, rescued by, and, they give props to the rescue group who is taking this dog. I just practiced that. And that time came and went. Her time came and went, and no one stepped up. And my gremlins were like, oh, is there anything you could do? And I remembered, Jeanette, don't take action out of fear. You got to be aligned with the proper outcome in order to be of any help here. And once you're aligned, if there's anything you feel like doing, then that will be effective. But doing something out of fear is not the way to go here. So even though it looked like nothing was happening, I didn't give up my happily ever after story, seeing the post update that says, update, rescued by. I just practiced it. And then I did reach out to the contact at the shelter and say, hey, what's going on here? Anything I could do? And that was inspired, but I didn't hear back. Nothing, crickets. And I was like, oh, that might not be good. But every time I had another bad thought, I'd remember what it felt like to know this is great. It turned out wonderful. Okay, so I kept it up. And then the next day, sure enough, there was an update that said the shelter was so short-staffed, they didn't have time to euthanize her the day before, but they were doing it today at 4 p.m. So I was like, yay, another day. I got another day to practice the good vibrations. So I did. I practiced the good vibrations. I practiced seeing the rescue group that stepped in, and that's exactly what happened. But it was, again, getting really close, but it gave me good practice. Don't give up what I want. Don't let reality train me into the negative thing. Hold fast to what you want. And it did. She got rescued. And I was like, I'm so chuffed. That's a fun story. That's not what I wanted to share today. Although maybe it's a little related. I wanted to talk about, how often I quote manifesting teachers like Bashar and Abraham on how the essence of manifesting what we want is about finding ways to feel better. Abraham said the gist of their message is just get happy now. And Bashar's always telling us to be unattached to the outcomes, just follow our joy without an agenda or insistence on whatever comes from it. So, yeah, don't wait to get happy until the thing gets here. Get happy first. Right, we know that. And we also know that practicing things like self-love and releasing fear and following our joy and getting in the habit of appreciating, all of those are really good ways to start raising our dominant vibration and becoming a better match to what we want. We all know that. But is it really required in order to create our preferred reality? Do we really have to find a way to feel better before the thing can manifest? It turns out it is not required. It is possible to create something without finding a way to feel better first. You can focus it into being just by putting your attention on the subject of whatever it is that you want long enough to bring it to fruition in real life. I know. I've done it. I know others who have done it. I bet you've done it too. There are probably plenty of creators who are doing that right now. But the thing is, if you do it that way, if you're focusing on what you want in order to make it happen without doing that vibrational shifting work of adjusting your baseline vibrational feeling, if you do it that way, then when that thing gets here, it is going to feel a lot like you have been feeling all along, whatever that is. And that's not what most people think is going to happen when they get their dream come true. They think once their big thing manifests, they're going to be over the moon with excitement. They're going to be so happy, their feet won't touch the ground. They'll be thrilled. They'll be giddy. They'll be so, so happy. But you know what? That isn't how it actually works. And some of you probably know this from personal experience. Lord knows I do. Where you got something that you said you wanted, and it turns out it was not the game changer you expected it to be. That's because our feelings, our emotions don't come from the things or the experiences. Our feelings come from within. They come from us. They come from what we've been thinking, from what we've been practicing. It's an inside job every time. That stuff is not dictated by what's happening out there. It's happening by what's going on in here. But that doesn't stop us from thinking that once we have the healthy, fit body or the big pile of money or the romantic partner or the dream house or the world travel or whatever it is that we want, we think once that's here, then we'll be happy. But happiness does not come from those things. And you probably know enough examples of people who are living those things who aren't happy to be able to see the truth of that, right? Like having a second home on the beach doesn't guarantee happiness, or getting married to your true love does not ensure you're going to feel love and adoration. Having a family is not a sure ticket to fulfillment and satisfaction. Making $1 bazillion does not guarantee you're going to feel worthy or secure or free. Because those feelings don't come from those things. It comes from our willingness to choose that. I know this from personal experience. You've likely heard about it if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, because I have done it many times. Remember that time when I thought, if I could just get rid of my debt, then I would feel better because I would be free to do what I wanted. I wouldn't have to work the stupid job that I hated so much. So I spent 5 years paying off all my debt, including my mortgage. And at the end, after I made that last payment and I was completely debt-free, instead of being deliriously happy in my newfound freedom, I was the same zombie that I'd been for the 5 years that it took me to pay off all those stupid bills working a job that I hated. The change in my money situation didn't change anything about how I felt. Isn't that wild? And some might be thinking, well, you still had a job you hated. Get a new job, then you'll feel better. Oh, yeah, I thought that too. I manifested my dream livelihood of being a law of attraction coach, my big dream of having a full practice so I could quit my job and do full time the thing that I loved more than anything. Well, I did that. And guess how it felt? It felt stressful. It was the same stressful that I had felt when I had a job. And then when I quit the job in order to build a practice, I was stressed when I was working, and then I was stressed when I wasn't working. And then I was stressed when I was working. Even at the job that I wanted so much, I was stressed for different reasons, but still stressed out because I brought that vibration with me. It didn't automatically change just because my dream business manifested. And you might be thinking, look, how's that even possible? I would have thought that was impossible. If someone had told me that beforehand, I'd be like, that will not be the case for me. Trust me. Give me a full thriving practice of amazing people to work with who are paying me good money that could easily support my preferred lifestyle, me being my own boss, making my own schedule, calling my own shots. Come on. How could that not be amazing? And it wasn't. It was not amazing because I just found new reasons to feel the same feeling that I had been used to. Instead of being stressed about living up to the boss's expectations, I was stressed about trying to do the best job I could for clients. Instead of being stressed that it's Sunday night, I got another miserable week ahead, I was stressed about booking so many clients that I barely had time for a bathroom break. Instead of stressing about doing work that was not in alignment with my soul, oh my gosh, that job, it was soul-crushing. Instead, I was just stressed about worrying, what if the clients don't keep coming? It was so ridiculous in hindsight. It was ridiculous. It took me a while to realize that the only way I was going to feel better, the only way I would be able to relax was by choosing it, me, myself, because there weren't any circumstances that could force a different feeling onto me. Ooh. Speaking of business manifesting, we're doing a Good Vibe Business Mastery. I thought it might be this month. It looks like it's going to be next month. It's going to have an ongoing co-creation circle associated with it, and that is by request. Anyway, that's probably starting next month. I'll keep you posted on that, but email me if you want to get on the First Dibs announcement list. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, all I had done was find new reasons to feel the same old way, even though my dream had technically come true. And I've seen this happen with so many people in so many ways. I've seen them get their dream job. And I mean dream job. Like fantasize about the best possible job you could ever have. They got it. And guess what? You know how this goes. You've probably lived some of this yourself. We just bring our vibrations with us wherever we go until we decide to change them, because the stuff outside does not change those things for us. I've seen people get a new love interest and still feel misunderstood or lonely or incomplete or frustrated. I've seen people get one physical health issue resolved just to manifest a new one in its place. Oh my gosh. Or when I've seen people manifest, like, the spouse and the babies, and they were just as depressed as they were before the family came along. I know you might know these too, people who've manifested life-changing amounts of money without changing their baseline dominant vibration. So once they got that money, and they weren't rejoicing, like leaving, okay, maybe they might have been for a day or two, or maybe even a week or two. They were like, woohoo! But it doesn't take long before those old dominant vibrations come home to roost, where they find new things to worry about in life, or new reasons to feel unworthy, or new circumstances to be the reason they feel resentment or guilt, or whatever their old vibrational habit was. Like they got this new life that now has all this fabulous money in it, and it just ends up feeling a lot like the old one. That's because how we feel is our job. It's not money's job. It's not our lover's job. It's not our body's job. It's always on us for how we feel. So, yes, it is possible to manifest that healing or that amazing new relationship or that dream home on the beach or that incredible professional win or whatever it is that we might want, we can dial on that outcome enough to make it appear in our physical world. But just know that when you get there, it's going to feel a suspiciously lot like you've been feeling all along. Those new manifestations, they're not going to change everything for you. They can't. You change everything for you by finding ways to feel better now. That's Feel Better First. It's one of my favorite courses at Good Vibe University. How to not be dependent on the things or the circumstances or the dreams come true for how you feel. It's always and only our choice for how we feel, and learning to feel better just because you can, just because you're cool like that. That's not only a good manifesting skill, but it's a really good life skill in general. So that's why Abraham says, unhappy journeys don't have happy endings. We can only feel whatever we've been practicing all along. That's why I'm suggesting it's worth knowing what your habits of feeling are and making improvements proactively wherever appropriate. Like if you've got a habit of feeling inadequate or unworthy, or a habit of being mad about the problems in the world, or if you typically engage a lack consciousness or feel like a victim, or maybe a habit of feeling sorry or despairing, or maybe even enraged about whatever's going on in the world, whatever it might be, I would suggest start replacing any of those unhelpful, unpleasant habits of not feeling good with something that feels better, because that is all that is ever going to do the trick. And yes, I know that can take some work, because law of attraction, that momentum of what we've been practicing, it wants to keep doing whatever we've been doing. That's where the energy and the focus and the momentum have been, so they want to keep asserting themselves or whatever it is in our life. That's why it might require us to be a little bit deliberate and disciplined about making a new choice for a while. As we start new habits like appreciating what's working, or enjoying what's already here, or trusting in the perfection, or feeling plenty, or reveling in the freedom that we've had all along. That freedom has been ours all along. We were just kidding ourselves anytime we thought we weren't. It's worth practicing what feels better. And we simply practice feeling now how we think we'll feel when we have what we want. That's another way to go about it. Just practice seeing what's already so amazing about our incredible lives is another way to do it. There's so many ways to do it. And no, it is not required in order to create what you want. But what we really want is to feel better. So it kind of is required when you think of it that way. So for anyone who says, yeah, you don't have to feel better in order to manifest what you want, they're right. It is not required, but it is super savvy. That's my word to the wise today. And just a little PS on that. That doesn't mean that it's not good to look forward to or to have fun imagining your amazing thing happening and feeling how delighted you'll feel to receive it. That's good vibrations through and through. Do it all day long. But let's be clear on the important part there. It's the feeling better part. That's the part that matters. We can use the dreams and the visions, the fantasies as our excuses to feel better right here and now. That can be part of why we're feeling better first. But there's also plenty of other reasons to feel good, and those things become easier to see the more we practice looking for them. So I'm just saying, it's just not super savvy to think that we can be feeling dominantly, primarily angsty or stressed or worried, and then expect that that's going to change once we manifest what we want. It doesn't work that way. And I feel like there's probably someone out there listening to it thinking, okay, Jeanette, look, I hear you, I get it, but trust me, I would have a heyday with that money. Watch me. Give me that money. I'll show you just how much fun I can have. Once the money's here, I will rock that party like no one ever did. You know what? We all think it's going to be different for us, right? Yeah. You know what? I actually do know a guy, I don't know him. I listened to an interview with a guy. I've mentioned him on this podcast before, who really did seem like he was happy after he manifested. He's the guy who consciously created €1 million lottery win. I think his name was Daniel Howard. It was so cool. He did seem legit happy after he won all that money. But you know what? He also seemed, you never know what someone else is feeling, but it sure seemed to me like he was legit happy before he won too. The way he talked about his life before he was the winner, he seemed like a guy who had that figured out. So I hope I've made a good case for not thinking that your successful manifestation is going to be what makes you feel better. And instead, knowing that it's for you to feel better here and now, however you can, whatever works for you. That's what's going to make the difference in your life. The only reason we're ever happy is because we chose to be. We practiced it. It isn't something that comes from fame or fortune or success or anything like that. It comes from making the choice, the effort, the willingness to take ourselves there, because that's where we want to be. Ooh, and another PS on that. So for anyone who's listening to this, maybe feeling discouraged that, look, I'm so far away from happy, I'm nowhere near being able to feel that. Remember, that's why we talk about feeling better, not just getting happy, feeling better. Any kind of relief, that counts. That's our ticket to feeling better. And if you listen to my last podcast, you might understand there's a wide range of ways to do that. Wide range. I'm remembering that guy. Oh, I sure don't remember who said this, but I love it the way he said, feeling depressed is just your cue that it's time for a deep rest. Don't you love that? Depressed, deep rest. I like that. Anyway, if you are feeling some sort of discouraged or despairing in deep ways, that's a good time to get some support. You don't have to navigate this on your own. And if you tried something before and that didn't help, try again or try something else. Speaking of trying something else, this is a wild story. I hope it's not inappropriate to share here. So I read this, can't remember where or whom. It sounds made up, but he told it like it really happened. So he was a therapist or psychologist or something like that, and he had a client who was so depressed she did not want to live anymore. And after a bunch of things didn't really help her, he used a really unorthodox approach with her, which was to help her plan it out. He was like, okay, so what do you need? What's your time frame? How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Like he's like, let's plan it out. I told you it was unorthodox. So she picked a date and a method and made a prep list or whatever you do to get ready for something like that. And in the meantime, she has this date set in the future. In the meantime, she started feeling better because instead of being in resistance to it, instead of someone trying to talk her out of it, she was getting support with it. Okay, well, I don't know why she was feeling better, but it's not hard to imagine how saying screw it and giving up would actually feel better. I went to bed once, not intending to get out again, and that did feel better, to just throw in the towel and take a break, to have a deep rest. Oh, yeah. Sometimes that's just the thing. Anyway, so she's feeling this release of pressure in her life because she'd made this decision that meant so much of this other stuff that used to bother her, it didn't matter anymore. She didn't have to worry about any of it anymore. And it changed how she engaged her remaining days. She stopped caring what other people thought. She stopped following the dress code at work. She stopped trying to be nice to people she didn't feel like being nice to. In fact, one day, she was at work. She was getting a drink at the drinking fountain in her unapproved work outfit. And some guy was staring at her. He didn't say anything. He was just looking at her. And she's just living this hootless life. She spit her water out at him and then laughed out loud because she did not give a rip anymore. Okay, and in the sense of this newfound freedom, you probably know how this turns out. She was like, you know what? Life's not so bad. Her days were easier. So she did not follow through on her plans. She found reasons to not just live, but to be happy, to enjoy life, reasons to be here. In fact, she ended up marrying the guy that she spit the water out at. Come on. Okay, so I'm not saying our ticket to happily ever after is to make a suicide plan. I'm saying feel better however you can. And sometimes, in some cases, for some people, it helps to get some help with that. Okay, so let's recap. What I'm trying to say here is that manifesting what you want does not require finding ways to feel better. And I hope you'll do it anyway. Thanks for listening, everyone. Happy manifesting.